I don't know if I shared the story, but there's a documentary that I came across called A Language You Cry In, about the Gala people of Mississippi in the South, in the US, who were taken as slaves from Sierra Leone. And for generations they lived and had kids in the South, in the US, until some researchers were trying to document where people, especially in the South, came from, because I think the South was one of the major ports where the slave ships came into the US from. So that's why Mississippi tends to have that large and deeper African ancestry and culture that we still see today. Be it the food, be the music, be the what they would say is voodoo, all of that. It's a lot stronger down there. And they recorded, there was this woman who used to sing the song that nobody knew what it meant. The language is foreign, but she learned it from her mother who learned it from her mother, and up to great grandmother, I think. I think about 3 decades past this song being recorded in Mississippi, the same team in the 1930s happened to go to Sierra Leone for anthropological work. And while they were there, they decided to play the song to a group of people, unbeknown to them that was the exact family that actually were the originators of that song, because this song was a family funeral song. So, you look at the distance, thousands of kilometers apart, hundreds of years apart, a song reunited a family that was not even aware of each other a few generations later. So that's really the just, to give a surface level sense of how spiritually connected we are to music.
Yeah, my brother, thank you for the in-depth explanation. That was really, I love the story. That story just shows the power of music. You don't necessarily need to understand what is being said, but your heart does understand. I remember, because I'm a French speaker. We used to listen to, growing up, we would listen to some American music, not understanding a word of what they were saying, but we were singing along. I don't know. We were singing along sometimes, and it's only when I started to learn English that I was like, oh, so that's what she meant, or that's what he meant, you see? But, you would know that it was a love story, or, you would know that it was the person who is singing is heartbroken or whatever. You will, because music is vibration, you see? Yes, it's not about what they're saying. It's about the emotion behind, the music. And
now, saying I, for one, as a drummer, and that's probably why I chose the drum when I moved to Cape Town, is all my favorite songs, I knew that the drum progression and the chords in the song, and the melodies. And when it comes, so I always listen to the music first. Vocals, I tend to just pick up the melody of the vocals over the music, not so much the words. I mean, songs like Michael Jackson's song that my kids will play today, and I start listening and I'm realizing, oh, that's what he actually is saying. I've known this song since childhood. I've just never picked up the words. I know the melody of the vocals, but never quite paid attention to what is actually being said. And it's only now that I'm catching up with a lot of music where I'm paying attention to what were they actually saying. And some of them are quite mind-blowing, actually, when you learn what was being said in the songs.
Definitely.
I didn't understand.
Definitely. And, that's why we say that music is, it's a universal language. And it's also funny that you picked up drum, or, out of all the instruments that you could have picked, you picked drum. And as Africans, drum, it's a very powerful instrument, and I believe that that's one of the first instruments that were made by our ancestors. And I was having a discussion with my an older cousin, and he was telling me, because I was like, today we have microphones, we have mobile phones as well. If there's an emergency, we can just call each other and be like, okay, there's this is happening, or just something. I mean, we have tools that help us to communicate very quickly. So I was like, at the time, how were people doing? How will they pass on messages that were, that had some emergency to them? How were they doing? And he explained to me. Yeah, let me just,
So
tell you about what he said, and then you can take it from there. So, he told me that at the time they had different drums. They had different drum, and each rhythm, when they will be beating the drums, each one of them had a meaning. For instance, if someone passed away, they will tap on the drum a certain number of times with a hectic rhythm. So everyone basically was used to that. They would know, oh, someone passed away. So if they were in the fields or something, people will come to the village
yes,
to find out more. And they also had, other
yes,
rhythms, like if there's a fire somewhere, it was amazing when he was telling me. And, he was even like trying to yes, yeah, for
to
me to
beat to
understand. And
play the
it's just
rhythm for you.
amazing. So
Yeah.
music is a language, first of all. And in different parts of
Yes.
Africa, we hear about the healing tom-toms, and like talking, I think talking drum or something like that. So basically people were using that, the drums were really talking, you know before the phones, before
Yes.
everything. They
Yes.
could communicate from miles away, yes, using
For
the
distance.
drums.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
very,
Yeah. The drum is foundational. I think it may very well be the first. I also think it's the first instrument that can cover a vast area or distance versus the string instruments that would be made with the wire or the mbira. They're not as loud, but the drum is quite significantly louder. And again, like you were told, it was a matter of what type of drum is used and how it's beaten to convey a message. Even in Lesotho, memories from childhood, because literally my mother's family live on a mountain, which at the time there was no road to get to them, so we literally park the car on the other hill or across the river on a hill down there, and so would park our car, cross over the river, and hike upwards with our luggage, and that was normal. And you'd often have people have to talk to, from my mother's village, to needed to communicate a message to people on the other side, or down there on that village. And even how they spoke, as much as they were using words, it was melodic, because then the space, the vast space, would carry the words, but it had to be melodic and it was quite interesting to observe, especially now later as an adult, looking at it curiously to understand how would they have figured out that I can't just say, "Hey, I need you to come over tomorrow," but it would be done in such a way that there's space in between the words, for the message to, I guess, to make sense to the recipient. So, and this was not something that you're taught. Like, I probably can do it, but it's purely from observation. I wasn't taught that. So the beauty of music and the power of it is that it's natural to us. You don't necessarily have to be taught.